And see who this is.
Hello? This is Tom. I'm calling from the Healthcare Enrollment Center in regards to your inquiry for health insurance. Then I will get you right over to an insurance specialist.
You know what I do with those calls? I go, Tom from the healthcare place. When they interrupt me while I'm doing a YouTube video, they get blocked. Well, they get blocked anyway, so. Okay, check, test, check. Okay, today I'm going to talk about how I made my first $100,000 as a cat property independent adjuster. Unfortunately, I wish I could say that there's a shortcut, but sadly there isn't. Keep watching. What's up, cat adjusters? Head on over to adjustertv.com where I have a ton of free resources, videos, blog posts to help you not only get started as an independent adjuster doing catastrophe work, but also to excel and to kind of build the foundation for your career that lasts. Check it out, adjustertv.com. And keep watching until the end of this video because I'm going to kind of give you guys a bonus where I'm going to share with you the first 10 years of gross income from my career as doing only catastrophe work as a cat property IA. So stick around to the very end of the video. So let's just jump right in. What are the top 3 things that I did that I feel helped me to start earning 6 figures as a catastrophe adjuster? Number 1, I found that when I put in 10% more effort, I actually kind of rose above about 80% of everybody else that was competing against me for claims. And make no mistake about it, you are competing for claims with other adjusters when you're on a storm. You're competing at your quality level, you're competing with your customer service, and you're competing on your production. So how fast you can turn claims over. 3 simple ways that I did that was made sure that the spelling was correct and in the estimate, in the reports that I put together, in the activity diary, in the GLR, using proper grammar, simple sentences. I'm not going on for like 5 pages to tell the desk adjuster about, a hail claim on a roof. I'm just keeping it short and sweet, the main facts that they need to know so that they can process the claim. Always, always, always follow up with the insured, with the agent, with the contractor, with your manager, with whoever, when you say you will. People love that when they have their expectations exceeded, even in a small way. A third way to kind of put in just a little bit more effort is to always be on time. And when I say on time, I mean like if you tell somebody that you're going to be there at 9 a.m., then you're there at 9 a.m. I mean, you could say, some people will say, well, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late or whatever. But people have an expectation that if you say you're going to be there at 9, their expectation is that you're going to call them probably at 11:30 and say that you're on your way, right? Because that's what the dishwasher delivery guy does. That's what the cable guy does. That's what that's what UPS or the UPS does when they say they're going to deliver a package. That's what people expect. When you say that you're going to be there at 9 and you pull up right at 9 o'clock on the dot, they're looking out I look out the window when I'm expecting something from somebody to come to my house or the RV or to deliver a package or whatever. I'm like, when they said 10 a.m., I'm looking out the window going, where is that guy? And then 10:01, I'm like, oh, guy's late. I'm not sitting there at 10 till going, the guy's late. I'm like, I wait till 10 a.m. I give him the benefit of the doubt. He's going to be here right on time, right when he said he was going to be here. And when he's not, then I start getting upset, even if it's only a minute. It's impossible to always be exactly right on time when you said you were going to be there. So the second I know that I'm going to be even a couple of minutes late, I call the insured or I send them a text, whichever way I know that I can get a hold of them easiest. And I say, hey, we have an appointment this morning at 10. I had a meeting that ran over. I should be there right at 10, but it might be a couple of minutes behind schedule. And people are like, they're a little bit shocked because I'm holding myself to a high standard. I'm calling them to tell them I'm going to be 2 or 3 or 5 minutes late. Of course, if I'm going to be 15 minutes late, then I have to tell them I'm going to be 15 minutes late. But it shows them that I'm holding myself to a high standard, that I value their time. I don't want to waste their time. And even a few minutes of time where they're standing there looking out their window waiting for me is wasting their time. They start to get anxious. And you don't want to have the insured anxious when you get there, or any more anxious than they're already going to be because they've got a claim and they don't know what to expect. I call them an hour beforehand and say I'm going to be 3 minutes late. And people, oh, thank you so much for calling. I really appreciate that. Or, you get snarled up in traffic. supposed to be there at 10. It looks like it might be 10:30 or maybe even 10:45. Is that going to be okay, or do we need to reschedule? I don't want to ruin your schedule or whatever. Oh no, that's totally fine. I'll be here. I took off the morning. Da 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 da. Literally, like 99.99% of the time, it's always cool. Occasionally, somebody will say, "Oh, well, I have to go back to work," or "I have an appointment that I can't miss," or "I got to go pick up my kids," or whatever. And then you just work it out with them, right? So 10% more effort. Make sure that you are speaking in English and not in like texting gibberish with saying the letter U instead of you, and you're spelling things. You've got good grammar. You're using the right form of there, or your and your. Always following up on calls and emails when you say you're going to, and always just being on time. And I always say I'm never late, even when I'm not there when I said I was going to be there the first time, because I just rescheduled when I said I'm going to be there at 10:05 instead of 10. So I'm still not late. I'm there when I said I was going to be there. I just had to reschedule a little bit because of something that happened on a previous inspection. So believe me, it goes a long way, and it's a very, very small little increase in effort on your part. And I think it makes a very, very, very big difference, because I'm gonna tell you right now, very few other adjusters will do that. They'll set all their appointments to say, I'll be there between 10 and 1, and then they'll just show up in sometime in that window. You want to narrow it down as much as possible. Number 2, I say yes, no matter what. So in those first 2 or 3 years, before I was making, even before I was even making over $50,000, I was saying yes to everything that they wanted me to do. So if they wanted me to go drive 2 hours for one claim that's way out, like the hailstorm had hit here, but they want me to go all the way over here and pick up this one claim because nobody else will take it, absolutely yes, with a smile, I'll take care of it, no problem. If it's March and hail season's getting ready to start up and they get pouring rains in the middle of nowhere, out in the middle of the Midwest somewhere, in a little tiny small town, and you get a call from one of your vendors that says, we've got a little tiny water claim storm, it's sewer backups, and probably going to be mostly denials. It's in the middle of nowhere, we can get you 50 claims. Do you want to go on that? Yes, absolutely, I'll be there, because that little storm I can wrap up inside of a week, probably maybe 10 days max. If I say yes instead of going, I was kind of hoping for a hailstorm, I'm gonna hold out for a hailstorm, then you sound like a mercenary and you don't sound like a team player. But if you just say yes to everything that they say when they call you, you get a reputation as being somebody that they can count on. You paid your dues over here, and there's a little bit of reciprocity. They know they can count on you, so they want to keep you around as kind of their Johnny on the spot. So they're going to give you other good gigs, I promise you. You might get a call from your manager when you're on a storm, and he'll say something like, "Matt, we got a hot one. It's a reinspection. The first adjuster, mishandled it in whatever way. The customer is, I just want to let you know going into this, the customer's furious. He's called everybody. He's called the president of the United States and yelled at him. This guy is mad. He's got 50 policies with his agent. The agent's crying because he's afraid he's going to lose all those policies. It's a nightmare claim. Can you take this for us?" Yes, absolutely. I'll take care of it. No problem. And then go take care of it. Take care of that customer. Be as sweet as can be. If the guy yells in your face, just take it and just say, "Listen, let's just get down to business and just take care of it." And doing things like that, taking those troublesome claims, is a really, really big deal. And your managers will love you. And you will, I'm telling you, all these things that I'm telling you to do is how you build up your name as somebody that can be counted on, who's reliable, who will say yes with a smile, and be easy to work with. When you go to McDonald's and order, food, the person behind the counter, you want them to smile at you and offer suggestions and, whatever, instead of just like staring down. Yeah, what do you want? You want to be somebody that's easy to work with, because it makes the experience more pleasant. They like you. They're going to use you a lot. And it could be argued that, if you take these garbage storms, or you're picking up garbage claims that are way out in the middle of nowhere, that you're always going to get those. Like, you're always going to be, I said yes to taking claims that weren't in one little town in Nebraska. They were the whole western half of Nebraska, and I had 2.5 hour drives between each one. That you're always going to get those kind of claims. You could say that, and you could be afraid of that. In my experience, that hasn't been the case. I strongly feel like when you do that kind of thing for your managers, for your vendor, for the carrier, for whoever wants you to do something, and you say yes all the time, you're paying your dues. You're showing that you're eager to do this, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to help them out, and they will do whatever it takes to help you out. And number 3, when you're working catastrophe, you are trying to balance accuracy, your technical knowledge and your estimating skills and your scoping skills, so that you're not missing damage and not paying for stuff you shouldn't pay for. You're also having to balance your customer service. And on top of that, in cat situations, they want to turn these claims over fast. So they want these claims closed as absolutely as fast as you can do it, while still keeping your accuracy, your technical on your claim up, and your customer service up as high as possible. And you're going to have like a baseline. You're able to talk to the QA person at the carrier. You can say, well, what's the baseline that I need to stay above? And they'll tell you. I mean, they'll this is important to them. And believe me, on the corporate side, especially on the carrier side, they track these things like, I mean, they have nothing else better to do but to track your numbers. So the bottom line is you need to turn over claims, and you need to turn them over quickly, keeping at least a baseline of quality. So what I feel like has helped me get over that $100,000 threshold with regard to production is that I've really focused and concentrated on each piece of the claims process, especially on the software, how you move around a house, how you set up your schedule, what you do at different parts of the day, what things you do on what day. It's kind of meaningless in the grand scheme of things. But if you add up all of those things together and you manage to shrink each one down by 10%, then you can probably squeeze in another claim in the day. Dig down into those things and find ways to even squeeze them even more without losing the quality of the accuracy of your estimate, or having your customer service suffer. Then you can get a lot of claims done during the day without losing your mind or staying up until 2 o'clock in the morning. So how did this help me earn $100,000 a year? So number one, I put in 10% more effort, and it truly, I mean, you could put even more effort into that and really, really rise to the top. Number two, pay my dues. I said yes to everything I could. And number three, I figured out how to be fast without making a huge mess of my claims or the customer service. So because I paid my dues and I got noticed, I was frequently working on CAT when very few other adjusters were out in the field. I could almost count on every single year getting sent on a little tiny storm that by myself as the only IA or even the only adjuster on the whole thing. Could go to like Kearney, Nebraska, or Hannibal, Missouri, or Appleton, Wisconsin, or Green Bay, little towns that had a lot of houses in them, but that weren't really big enough for contractors to want to just rush in there and just like canvas the area with, putting their signs in everybody's yards. But they were more than big enough to give me, 400, 500, 600, 800, 1,000 claims, and that's all I need to make well over $100,000 in a year. Little small towns, they're quiet, there's no traffic, everybody's really laid back and nice for the most part. Not a lot of contractors running around. You might run into two guys that are like enterprising, and they jump in there on that storm, and you make friends with those guys. You're acquaintances. You're not like going out to eat with them or anything like that, because that's unethical. But you're having really laid back interactions with customers and contractors, and the damage is great. And a lot of times there are a bunch of little cracker boxes that are, I say cracker box with love in my heart, because those are my favorite kind of houses to scope, because it takes literally 9 minutes to walk around a house and do 2 slopes on a roof and get the gutters, and there's no interior damage, there's no fence, you might be paying for a grill cover every now and then, but you can be done with one of those in 35 minutes, completed, like photos in there, scoped, estimate written, settle with the insured, 35, 45 minutes, and you're out. So you can do 10 of those in a day and be done at the end of the day with 10 claims, and be not beaten up, and go back to your hotel room, download the next batch of claims, give them a call, and then go watch a movie or go out, buy yourself a nice steak. I mean, Nebraska, it's hard to find better steaks than Nebraska, believe it or not. So it's a nice way to spend your summer, and I frequently was getting those kinds of storms because I paid my dues. I just put in 10% more effort, call people when I said I was going to. I mean, it's just the simple little things. And then I would get a call, and somebody would say, "Hey Matt, we've got 70 commercial claims in Minneapolis. You want to go take care of those for us?" Heck yeah! I mean, 70 commercial claims could be apartment complexes, strip malls, bunch of rental properties. And you might get, 30 rental properties that are owned by one guy. And all you have to do is make one phone call to one guy and say, "Hey, I got all these claims. All right, well, go take care of them, and then give me a call when you're done." You don't have to call 35 people. You call one person. And, that saves you hours, like literally hours, because you're not having to make a bunch of phone calls. I had one where I did 36 claims, and every single house was exactly the same. I mean, literally exactly the same. They were 3 12 pitch roofs. They didn't have gutters. There was no window wraps. They were all brick, and they were all about 14 or 15 squares. Tiny little things. I was able to do all 36 of those inspections in one day because they were right next to each other. I just walked my ladder down the street. It's glorious. And that's 36 claims. I mean, you get the full bill for each one of those claims. So 36 times whatever that was in one day, right? And I wrote those up in one day. And these are the kind of gigs that you get when you prove yourself to be reliable, somebody who says yes, somebody they can count on, somebody who puts together a good file, and somebody who takes care of the customer. You do all these things, and you will start getting the good gigs. And this is how you start making more than $100,000 a year. I didn't do this by shopping around and trying to find who had the best fee schedule. I didn't do this by sitting around waiting for hurricanes to hit, because we all know, I mean, you could go years without a hurricane making landfall. I just busted my butt. I said yes to everything. I took the jobs that nobody else wanted to do, and I worked as many claims as I could. And volume truly is where you're going to earn the money, but you got to be able to go work, and you can't just cherry pick little pieces and little good storms here, or wait for this storm or wait for that storm. You have to say yes and just go. You're going to miss stuff. I've missed some big events because I was locked into a little event somewhere that was giving me, all the claims that I could possibly need, but I missed, the big thing in Dallas, whatever. I did what I had to do. I worked my rear end off. I did what I felt was more than what most other people were doing. And I believe that it paid off in the long run, because I was able to earn a lot more than a lot of other people that I knew. And in one case, I was very, very early in my career. I walked out into the parking lot, and I was talking to a couple of guys, that were staying at the same hotel, and it was like 2 weeks into the storm, and they were loading their cars up, and I was headed out to do claims, and they were wearing jeans and flip-flops, and they were putting stuff back in their car. They were moving out, and I was like, "What are you guys doing?" And they're like, "Oh, well, I guess we're that's it. There's no more claims, or they're sending us home. We'll just wait for the next one. So, I guess, are you still got some inspections?" Like, yeah, I've got some inspections still. I had gotten like 25 claims that morning, and with no inkling at all that the storm was over. And I ended up staying on that storm for like 4 more months. And that was the first year that I made more than 100,000. And that was when I made 114. And I probably made the vast majority on that one storm. So you got to pay your dues. You got to work your rear end off and understand this is a volume game. And so you have to have high quality on both your estimates and your customer service, and have high production. And that's how you earn more than $100,000 year to year to year without hurricanes. I know we got Hurricane Michael and Hurricane Florence this year, which is a little bit unprecedented, and I'm a little bit surprised by it, because you don't usually get 3 years in a row. We had 2 years ago, we had Matthew. Last year we had Harvey and Irma, and this year we've got Michael and Florence, which aren't as big as those other storms, but they're still landfalling hurricanes. People are still going to work on them. It's not typical. And next year, if it happens again, I'll be shocked. But as a new cat adjusters, I strongly, strongly counsel you guys to dig into hail. Hail is what's kept me in 6 figures for years and years without doing hurricanes. So to wrap this up, put in 10% more effort, pay your dues by saying yes to everything, even if you don't want to, and figure out how to be fast and how to streamline your work without creating a big mess. So please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great storm.
Baby got her shoes on, she wants to move.
Adjuster TV? I hardly know her.